such sights to show you. You solved the box. We came. Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures. Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. It is season 2 of Hun, Your Geek is Showing. I am Callista Valentine, and as always, I am joined by some random guy, Jessup Braithwaite.
Hello once again. I'm good, how are you?
Still a little bit under the weather, but well enough to record. So I decided over the weekend, I was like, you know what? We've been gone for 3 months. We said we'd be gone for a month, and I just got sick of waiting around.
You got sick of waiting around.
Just to give the viewers a bit of backstory about why we've been away for so long and why it's taken even longer is my teeth are fucked. It's the bluntest way I can put it. I've struggled with dental issues for years now. And I finally decided to go and get it sorted, get it taken care of. And due to my dentist having annual leave at one point and then me having the flu at one point, what should have been 6 weeks off turned into 6 to 8 weeks, then 12, and yeah. But on the day this episode is airing, I will be in the dentist again to have the final appointment done. Fingers crossed, everyone. Final appointment done. And then we'll be back in full. But for today, because this is our 100th video here on YouTube.
Wow.
Go us. 2 years, 100 videos. Why not? So thank you very much. We decided to do a special Hellraiser episode. All things Hellraiser related. We love Hellraiser here.
Yes, we do.
Several months ago, I think it was back in June or July.
I think so.
We actually recorded an interview with Little Spark Films, who made the Torturer with Paul T. Taylor, who played Pinhead in Hellraiser Judgment. So that was a nice little thing for us. We will show that interview here later on at some point. It will be in this episode, but not just yet.
Yeah, we're going to tease you a little bit. I'm going to make you wait.
Oh, yes. So, Guy, you will be hosting tonight because I'm not feeling great. And we do have something coming up soon. But first of all,
we've got something coming up.
All videos, random guys, random films.
Yes.
You've taken some time off of that.
Yes, I have.
Watch some more films or just to get a few more ideas?
No, I've been recording a solo album. It's called Everyone Who's Not Me Sucks.
Oh, fair enough then. There we go.
And the follow-up's going to be Buy One, Get One Free.
Bog off.
No, I haven't really. I've been chilling out. I needed a bit of time.
I've been relaxing, resting, recovering, being delirious with fever, coughing up the whole entire colours of the rainbow. So I've not been too well, but we're back. We're
back.
Semi back. Nothing wrong with the semi. Well, maybe there is.
Well, that would depend.
That would. But right, everyone, I'm going to take some time off. Like I said, I've got the dentist on the day that's airing. So while I'm away, this certain person, shall we say, has been keeping an eye on our channel, hasn't she, Guy?
Yes.
That weird little clip in one of our videos that I didn't upload or anything. She just kind of was there.
Pirated on.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. But I did a little bit of digging, and I think I found out how to get in touch. So I think, without further ado, that is what we should do.
Yes.
So, shall we get over to introducing our new co-host?
Yes, I think we should. I would have words with her. Pirating on our videos.
Oh, it's unbearable, isn't it? The suffering of strangers, the agony of friends. There is a secret song at the center of the world, Joey. And its sound is like razors through flesh.
I don't believe you.
Oh, come. Oh, you can hear its faint echo right now. I'm here to turn up the volume. To press the stinking face of humanity into the dark blood of its own secret heart.
And I'm here to stop you and send you back to hell.
Oh, no, you can't stop me, child.
You summoned me?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Ah,
No, I didn't.
finally free. Back on this plane of existence. Callista asked me to step in, fill her shoes until she's feeling well enough to return. If she ever does.
Oh, there you go.
You
Ladies and gentlemen.
gave me Miss Violet Impulse, keeper of the Lament configuration.
Indeed. I'm Random JB.
Pleasure is mine, as always.
So then, Miss Violet. Pirating our videos.
More like making my presence known.
Mm-hmm.
So, you brought me here to talk about Hellraiser, obviously.
Indeed.
So, where shall we begin?
Well, better begin at the beginning, as is the custom. So, how'd you get into the Hellraiser?
I opened the box, obviously.
Ah,
No, the same way most people got into Hellraiser, just liking horror films and testing the waters, seeing what was available, seeing what was out there.
excellent. Lucky for me, I had parents with pretty easygoing rules on videos. Haha.
That is always good. That is always good. Fun, interesting.
So, shit. Edit point. So then, Miss Violet, while we've got you, excuse me a sec, I'll just pour this. While we've got you,
Yes.
we better find out why else you're here.
I am here purely to fill in the role for Callie while she is on her medical time off, shall we say. I also came across him on TikTok. I've been making some waves over there. Massive cosplay community over there. And I'm here to fill that void that is missing currently. The more twisted, dark side of life. Instead of hun, your geek is showing, it should be hun, your spine is showing.
Yeah, I could go with that, but I'm easygoing. As Callie probably told you.
Oh yes, she has told me how easy you are.
Not that easy, yeah. I'm married man.
Aren't they all? Aren't they all?
See? Oh,
Anyway, Hellraiser. Obviously, I am heavily inspired by such a glorious, grotesque brutality that is Clive Barker's works.
Hmm. Pick your best one.
I would have to say the third film. It has the most quotable lines, some rather inventive kills, and much like myself, in Hellraiser 3, Pinhead is unbound from the rules. He doesn't follow human rules because he isn't human. And he doesn't follow Leviathan's rules because he doesn't need to anymore. He struck out on his own, did his own little thing. And I think it was Pinhead at his most talkative, most quotable.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, let's face it. In the first film, which is my favourite, but it was the first one I saw, I think the first thing of any sort of franchise is what sticks with you the most. I find, for me anyway. But yeah, he did have a lot more dialogue. I mean, bless him. It will tear your soul apart. Is pretty much all of it for the first one, wasn't it?
He has a few lines. They're very quotable for me, at least. Anyway, we have such sights to show you. There's also my personal favorite whenever anybody gets upset. Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
But yeah, the first one, I do like it, but I don't like it as much as the third one because I've read the original novella, Hellbound Heart,
Hmm.
and although there is a lot in the film that is correct to the book, there's so much that they couldn't include, obviously, for the time and the censorship board and all that kind of stuff. There would have been big X rating, But I think when you've read the book and then you watch the film again, the film loses a little bit of that shine because those things aren't there.
Hmm.
And when things are missing, you have to go looking for them. And then you'll stumble across the book. But again, you get caught in an infinite loop then of the book is better than the film, which is often the case.
God damn right in that one. Jesus, Stephen King especially.
Oh dear. We'll get to him in a later episode.
Ooh, spoilers.
Maybe some foreshadowing.
Excellent.
So, Callie told me before taking over here for a little while that there was an interview.
Yes, there was. There was an interview.
Right. Well,
I'm
then,
good. Say so myself.
we'll let that interview play now then, and we'll round up after said interview.
Cool.
See you on the next section. Right, edit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special interview as part of the Hellraiser special we're doing here on Calico Productions. I'm Callista Valentine. Joining me today is Guy Jessup Braithwaite.
Well, I think I am. Am I? Yes,
I think
am.
you are. You are a random guy, but you are. And from Little Spark Films, we are joined by Catalina and Joe. I don't want to pronounce your last names because I'm dyslexic and I will butcher them if I've not heard them before. So I do apologize.
You're Catalina Querida and Joe Manco.
Joe Manco.
Hey.
Okie dokie.
Great to have you on.
Yes, it was very nice to have you on the show. I reached out to you guys via Twitter, just mentioned Hellraiser, and you were like straight away, like, yeah, we'll do that. Well, we're in. So I was quite surprised by that. So thank you for joining us for this special little segment. We're going to cover Hellraisers 1 to 4 in this section. So I think, because he's the co-host, we'll start with Guy. If you want to ask any questions or just shoot some shit about Hellraiser, now's your chance.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Cal. Hellraiser, it's got to be said, what an icon. Jesus. Well, let's see, 87. I was a young lad, impressionable. And of course, you see a picture of Pinhead and you just go, oh, that's cool as shit out of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, of course, had to watch it. Watched it, because, you know, my parents didn't care what I watched. For God's sake, I watched Strud Dogs with them. Jesus.
Dear.
Nothing like bonding with your parents. Yeah, it's nothing like bonding with your parents to Sam Peckinpah films. But,
yeah, just...
yeah. So, you know, they have no problem with me watching that. So, god damn, what a film. Has to be said, Clive Barker is the man. Bless him. But yeah, I mean, Jesus, when you're that young, you watch that, it blows your mind. And it stays with you, I think.
Exactly. It's definitely one of up there with one of my favorite horror franchises. You've got the big ones like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. We talked at length about these guys, but you've got the big names. And Hellraiser, I feel, should be up there with those big names, but it doesn't get talked about as nearly as much as it should do.
No, definitely not.
So over to Catalina and Joe, if you want to throw in some thoughts on Hellraiser.
Where do you start, right?
Yeah.
So I actually grew up in a really incredibly conservative. My parents are what's called Southern Baptist, which I don't believe exists in the UK. I have no idea. We're from Texas, so
we have about 400 religions here in the UK.
Southern Baptist, still different. Yeah. So anyway, they did care what we watched, but I do remember being mesmerized by the poster. Like, you know, if we'd go to like the video store, or they used to have the posters up at the grocery stores.
Oh,
we used to have like grocery stores that would have like an attached video store,
Yeah.
and it was always just a really interesting image to look at. Yeah.
I remember when I was little, Hellraiser I think it was Hellraiser 3 when it came out. It was a Minyard's grocery store. We had really high ceilings, and oh my gosh, the poster that hung from the ceiling to the top of the door of this, or the opening of this video kiosk, it was ginormous. It must have been 30 feet, it felt like.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't 30 feet. I don't know. It was a grocery store. They had tall ceilings.
Yeah.
But it was terrifying to look at, and I was just always drawn to it. And it wasn't until probably the 4th grade I finally watched the first 4 films.
Yeah.
No, 3 films is what was out by then when I was in the 3rd grade or 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th one came out in 96.
How old are you for 4th grade?
I don't remember.
Well,
6,
River's
7,
about
8,
to
9,
be-
9, 10.
Yeah, 9
10.
or 10.
Yeah.
Our daughter's about to be in 4th grade, so
Yeah.
9 or 10.
Nice. So, just wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of right around about the same sort of age that I saw. But look, I first sort of had encounters with Pinhead and Hellraiser and all that kind of lot, like very much like yourselves. I remember going to local supermarkets that had video shops and whatnot, and seeing the posters, and always been intrigued by like, who's that guy with the box and all the pins in his head? Like, just the imagery alone kind of was like, what's this all about? It wasn't until I got to again, back 9 or 10 years old, a friend of mine who borrowed the films off of someone, like, oh, we've got to watch these. He had the first 2 Hellraiser films. And the funny thing was, is in my household, my parents weren't strict with what I watched, but they kind of had this, if we can watch it with you and we don't think it's too much, we'll allow it. But if we watch it and we think it's too much, we're not going to let you watch it. So I was like, okay, cool. Sat and watched Hellraiser with it, and it got to the bit where Frank is slicing the rat open at the foot of the bed. I'm sat there like, wow, that is awesome. My mom has to leave the room to go and be sick. And I'm just like, it was too much for you, let alone me. So I think I just, going forward, that I have a very twisted mind. Like, even at that age, I was like, rat getting slit open by a knife. Wow. So.
Oh man. when I was,
Go on, Joe.
yeah.
Yeah, go, Joe.
Oh, when I got, I was watching one of the first two, one or two, and at my dad's, my dad owned a warehouse, a roofing company.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a TV in the back of the warehouse where all the roofers would hang out and they'd shoot the shit, they'd mix and mingle. And they had Hellraiser, one of the first two was on, and I was sitting there just watching it, eating pizza in the middle of the summer. My dad comes in and he sees Claire and Julia and Frank, and he immediately starts screaming at his roofers. And there was this one weirdo that worked there and lived on the premise. He had a tattoo on his eye, on his forehead. He had a tattoo of an eye on his forehead. And he just started screaming at my dad, "I don't know what you're yelling about, John. These people are already dead. Just let them watch the damn thing." But no, it's become a mild obsession in the house.
Oh, I can see the Hellraiser poster behind you, and it's just like, I need that. I definitely.
That's from England. That's Steel Ghost Art.
Oh,
yeah, Still Ghost Art. He does their alternate posters. So that's his Hellraiser, as if Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi were in it. And then we have an Evil Dead one with Vincent Price as Ash, and then a Saw one
with Peter
Cushing as Jigsaw.
Yeah.
He sent us like a whole bunch.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because actually how the Hellraiser obsession, I guess, really, it was kind of like on the edges. And then when it really started was several years ago. It was our first time at a convention here called Texas Frightmare Weekend.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of walking around, there's vendors, etc. And one person did Max already have the big box, or it was just the posters?
No,
I don't even remember.
He had okay, so Max Lichter of the Pyramid Gallery, he had a giant box. It was a configuration box about this big. Wow. And it was on his booth, and it was just spinning slowly in a circle, glistening like a disco ball. Oh. And I just gravitated to it like a moth.
Oh,
and
that does sound really really cool.
Did he say what's your pleasure?
He had a whole table of this stuff.
Oh.
And he has the Lament configuration as well, but they're music boxes.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool.
And they all have there's these alternate designs. There's a MIDI. There's a bunch, and they all have their own stories.
That's cool.
Needs to be wiped off. But they all have their own stories and whatnot. And so we made a series of commercials for the Pyramid Gallery and configurationboxes.com. 13 commercials, and it's a series called The Hellbound Laments, and we made that after working with Paul Taylor.
I saw that
on the torture.
I actually saw that earlier on your website because I was doing a little bit of research just to keep everything fresh in my mind, and I was going through your website, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to check that out after the interview."
Yeah,
because being me, I leave everything to the last minute. So. But yes, Hellraiser, the first film.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, it's fresh.
Exactly. But yeah, the first Hellraiser film for me it's an icon, it's a classic. And my friend Colin, who we're hoping to get on for the larger episode that this is going to be a part of, I'm hoping that he will join me because we've debated back and forth over the years that in the first film especially, well, first two, I suppose you could count. Are the Cenobites actually the good guys? Because they're after who's going around killing everybody, trying to stop him from killing everyone. So if anything, they're anti-heroes, essentially, to a certain extent. And I was like...
Well, it's not like they went out looking for this. They were summoned.
Well, exactly. But once
I think it's more
gone,
just it's as service. Because they work in service to Leviathan. So since they work in service to Leviathan, they were owed a soul.
Yeah.
And Frank is a jerk and did not hold up his end of the bargain.
No, he did not.
Which is, if you think about it, classic Frank fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He tries it in both films, doesn't he? He tries to escape in both films. So.
Right.
So
in the Arrow video, release, there's a really cool little essay about how it all ties in with Faustian tales, with like Frank in the box and essentially making this promise, you know, saying, okay, yes, we will give you this in exchange for this, and then him doing the whole switcheroo.
Yes.
You know, because he's kind of a
well, that's his way. That is his way.
What is he? Not a ruffian. I would call him something else.
Frank's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I was trying to come up with a better word, but piece of shit is more direct.
Yeah, shit is very direct.
Yeah.
Direct. Why not just say shit? But anyway, we'll move quickly on. Talking about the second film, Hellbound 2. I've actually just been watching the second one, you know, literally right coming into this episode. And the one thing I definitely noticed more so as I've got older as a fan is the subtle change between the two tracks, the actual like theme for the film, the subtle change between the first and second film, where it's still the same music, but in the second one, it's more grand. There's more operatic tones behind it. And I was like, sat there, I was like, how have I never noticed this before, being so musically inclined? I've never noticed that before.
Well, that comes with Clive Barker stepping back and taking the producer role, because most people, they, you know, Tony Randell is a fantastic director, and they chose him. They were very meticulous with who they picked, you know, and how Tony Randell got the job. And it was also written by Pete Atkins. But just because Clive was producing doesn't mean it all lies on the director's shoulders. So a lot of those decisions, it was probably something that Clive had more time to think about, marinate, consider, and you know, get in Tony's ear and probably say, hey, maybe if you tried this or did that. And you know, he stuck up for the movie to a lot of people. And there's a crazy story where he locked a guy in a restroom. A guy who gave him a bad review on the first Hellraiser film.
Yeah, and I do remember hearing about that, and I found that quite funny. It's like, you want to get a good review? Yeah, just torture them. Take a leaf out of the film's book, just lock them in the bathroom. Like, no, you're staying there. You're staying. But,
well, I think part of the problem was that, you know, there's so many people that if they see the imagery and they automatically write it off, and you're like, oh, well, this is just gross, or, oh, this is just, you know, this doesn't have any story behind it, without even giving the film an actual chance. And that's not really fair. And I know that was something that happened to him a lot, that happened to the entire, series, especially 1 through 4, you know, where they are constantly fighting that argument.
It's an uphill battle. I mean, there's an open to question video on YouTube that's about 45 minutes long, and people are just asking him the most jackassy questions. But he defends himself pretty in his craft quite well.
He's always very eloquent when he defends
you have to.
any of his stories. I mean, it's really nice. We watch it sometimes just to let ourselves get stressed out.
Well, I suppose that's one way of doing it.
But I think that the subtle score of the second one, the change that you had mentioned for Hellbound, I do wonder if it has to do something with the fact that, like, in the original, in the original film, you never actually go into hell. It's them always coming out. And then in the second one, we actually do go into the labyrinth. And the labyrinth is this beautiful, crazy, weird, vast thing. And we get to see Leviathan.
It's a different world.
So it is a completely different world. I wonder if that has something to do with that change.
I think that definitely goes hand in hand. Yeah, but budget, But I think for me, like, watching the films back now with that more mature brain and looking, not just watching it for the splatter and the gore and the horror, I'm now watching it with I'm scrutinizing it, you know, and I'm listening to the tracks differently. And like you just said, Catalina, that in the first one you don't go into hell, the second one you do, and I think that subtle change definitely amplifies that feeling of that tonal shift of going from one plane of existence to the next. The music would be grander because you're essentially where it's coming from. And weirdly enough, my brain's just tied this together with a line that Pinhead says in the third film, where he says there's a secret song at the center of the world. If hell is the center of the world and that music is what's playing, the closer you get to it, obviously, the louder it's going to get. So it all for me all ties together with the music. But that's just me. Guy, your thoughts?
No, that sounds pretty bloody bang on to me, actually. Gotta say. Well done, you. It's a Cali theory.
I mean, that all made sense to me too. I was like,
I like that.
Thank you. I literally that just popped into my head like I didn't think of that before.
Hey, we got a new show. Cali explains it all. There we go.
Oh Jesus, no.
Copyright. Copyright me.
So yeah, right. I think we'll quickly move on. Hellraisers 3 and 4. I personally love Hellraiser 3. It's one of my favorites, but I have a weird connection with it. When I got to the age of sort of 11, 12, my dad would do this thing where I'd meet him from work on a Saturday afternoon because he finished early. He was a lorry driver. And he would take me into town and I would spend my pocket money with him. One week, we're in a video shop and I see Hellraiser 3, £2.50 marked down from £5. I was like, can I get that, Dad? Because I'd seen the first two at this point. I was like, I would really want to see the third one. But you're going to have to get it for me. He was like, well, go on then. Fair enough. You've seen the first two. You might as well see the third one. I loved his logic. You've seen the first two. This one can't be any worse than those two. So, why not? Got it, took it home, wore the tape out, absolutely loved it. A lot of the sort of little jokey, quip and quotable lines that I come out with are directly from that film. Whenever if I'm in a room and somebody shouts, Jesus Christ, I will always go, not quite. Without even thinking, I just go, not quite. Sorry, what? So yes, everybody's thoughts on Hellraisers 3 and 4. We'll go with Joe and Catalina first.
Oh man, 3 was our come down movie for a couple of years there when we worked at a nightclub.
Yeah, we used to work at a nightclub.
In downtown Dallas.
Yeah, in downtown Dallas, and there were frequent fights breaking out. There were several shootings. And we were several years actually. So we wouldn't get home till like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm sorry.
God bless Texas.
Yeah, we wouldn't get. We wouldn't get home till 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's really difficult to after you've been to wind down, right? After you've been screaming at people and people don't tip you, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So we would put on 3 a lot specifically for the sequence in the nightclub.
It was very
in the boiler room.
Very cathartic.
Oh yeah. That scene in the nightclub is one of my favorites.
But we ended up watching 3. Yeah, it is. It's ours. But we ended up watching it so many times, and you have places like the Hellbound Web on Facebook where people just There's a lot
of people that really hate it, and it's just because it veered so differently from the first two. But also, when you get to a 3 of a franchise, it should probably change. Maybe change it up a bit.
Exactly.
And the fact that you mentioned that you loved it so much at 11 and 12, I'm like, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was because Hellraiser 3 came out at that unfortunate period where it was just coming out of the 80s, going into the 90s, and slasher films were seeing their heyday at that point. You were on, Freddy Part 5, Friday Part 8. You were into the really arse end of these franchises. And to try and spice it up, they were like, okay, let's just make him a slasher. Let's just send Pinhead out there and do his, go nuts. And the one thing I've always pointed out to people is you've got to remember at this point in number 3, it is literally Pinhead unbound. He's not got that human side of him anymore. It's the full-on demon in control.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
No one ever talks about that, but that is the reason why the Cenobites look the way they do, because they're not Leviathan made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Pinhead out on his own.
Thank you.
It's
right.
Yeah.
It's Pinhead pulling almost a John Lennon. He went off and tried to do his own thing. Didn't quite work, so he came back.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. That he went out, they tried the different way. I mean, I still like it. I thought that it would. I still think that it's a fun, completely different interpretation.
The architecture of the boiler room is what really gets like we can't
figure out the boiler room.
I need blueprints.
Because you have the nightclub. You also have the attached
fine dining,
black tie dining.
Then you got this penthouse.
Right.
The thing that always got me with that,
Paul Kane.
The thing that always got me with that scene, with the boiler room and the fancy restaurant and his apartment being all attached to it, I was like, where did he get his soundproofing done? Because as soon as that little window on that door closed, nothing. If you've ever been in America, you can hear that shit 3 miles down the road. I'm sorry, but just closing a little tiny hatch on the door is not going to block out that much sound. I'm sorry, it's not.
JP Monroe must have some Elon Musk money or something.
No, he does, though.
He does. Well, he's loaded, man.
He looks a little bit like him.
They talk about the boiler room.
They talk about JP Monroe's family structure. Well, in Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell, even though that's technically not canon, Paul Kane kind of extrapolates an idea saying oh, JP comes from this long line of money. And I was like, that makes sense to me, accepted as canon, canon.
I mean, yeah.
It's not
a place like the boiler room, canon. It must be a connection. But yeah, I mean, number 3 was, like I said, my all-time favorite. Absolutely love it. Very quotable lines. I think now we'll take a quick moment to talk about, obviously we've mentioned Pinhead repeatedly. We got to talk about Doug. We got to talk about Mr. Bradley himself. Yeah. I mean, in or out of makeup, every time I hear his voice, I just hear Pinhead. It's just his voice. I don't know what it is, but something about the character he was the breakout star of the first film. If you total up his time in the first film, it's 8-9 minutes. He's barely in it.
Something like.
You get to the third and fourth film, and it's like Pinhead. It's just show him off as much as possible. So I definitely say that Pinhead is a horror icon, and Doug Bradley, although God bless him, he can't play the character anymore. Age, whatever you want to put it down to, for me, will always be Pinhead. I'm sorry, it's just my mentality. Others have played the part, and others have done a brilliant job. But for me, as soon as anybody says Pinhead, I'm just going to say Doug Bradley every time.
Yeah, they should just James Earl Jones that shit. What?
Yeah.
Well,
that would be nice, actually. Yeah, because the voice, it makes up so much of the character.
It does. But one of the very few things that I like about Hellraiser Revelations, Hellraiser 9.
Yes.
With everyone calls him the Great Value Pinhead, but that one of the first scenes with him is shows him creating another hell priest, so maybe the pins in the head is a status of some sort in Leviathan. But I did appreciate that, and that does help say that's why this other guy Steve played Pinhead in Revelations, why Paul plays a different Pinhead, because he's more of a judge. He's not the Doug Bradley Pinhead. He's not. No, he's a completely different entity.
Yeah.
And I don't know. 9 kind of really just that one scene just kind of helps show that.
Yeah, it's true. It does. I've not seen number 9, and I've not seen all of Judgment. I've seen half of Judgment. It was watched at a friend's during a party, and then I had to go home. So I got halfway with it.
Oh yeah,
but I'm
y'all guys just got access to it recently.
Oh yeah, like
within
UK,
the year.
We're 10 years behind everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's not fair. I mean, the franchise only started with y'all,
Yeah.
But it was filmed. Yeah, Judgment was filmed up here in Oklahoma.
Oh.
Oh.
I didn't know that. I didn't.
It's really, really crazy. But it's another one of those, made to keep the rights. We don't have to go down that.
Yeah.
road.
Yeah. We won't talk about those ones, which is why I said we want to talk about the first 4, because they for me are Hellraiser movies. They were made to be Hellraiser movies, not started life as something else, and then one of the executives at the board went, can we put Pinhead in this? We're about to lose the rights again. You know, that's not a Hellraiser to me. As much as I love seeing Doug's performance in those films as Pinhead, literally, like I will scour YouTube for the clips he's in and just watch those bits because it's the only bits worth seeing. We're fair but true here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, so we'll quickly look to the future. There's the new series coming out. There's new films coming out. What are your thoughts on that?
Good story.
Well, we're going to watch them. And when there's a tangible release, we're going to own them.
They better give us a tangible release. I'm still waiting on the tangible release of that stupid Books of Blood, even though I hated it.
On Hulu, yeah.
I'm not
here for talk about that.
Yeah. Is that Books of Blood any good? Is it worth watching?
Not really, but we're completionists, so we did. But
we watched it twice.
But just to make sure,
there's only like two. Yeah, there's only 2 segments that are actually from the books. So
yeah,
and then they made up new ones, and then the new ones they're very rushed. So
and their marketing, they ended up throwing in the term "through time and space," and it's really just bad filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Through time and space.
Yeah, that was part of the marketing, is that they were trying to say that through time and space. I think because they were trying to like on Jericho Street, you know, they were trying to like tie everything together with On Jericho Street, and they were trying to make it make sense to people. But it's like, if you had made a more solid story in the first place, maybe you wouldn't have to explain so much.
Exactly.
But whatever.
But,
they're making them and we are not, so it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Well,
maybe you should be making them.
Yes, maybe you should. Maybe you should. That's an idea.
It'd be nice to turn the Hellbound Laments into a show.
Yeah.
That would be.
But
that would be cool.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the movie and the show.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. The one thing again, what me and Colin talked about, he's a big fan of the comic books as well. He's tracked them down online. He's read pretty much all the issues. He knows his stuff. And when the first, like, the reboots and the TV series was announced, he instantly went, I really hope they bring Kirsty in to replace Pinhead. And I was like, ooh. They did it in the comic books. And it goes back to what you were saying, that maybe the pins in the head isn't so much a personal thing. It's a status symbol. It shows they're the leader of that particular group. And to bring Kirsty back and to turn her into a Hell priestess in the vein of Pinhead like they did in the comic books, I think if they don't do it, it's a missed opportunity. But at the same time, some things work better in comic books than they do in real life.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it is difficult very often to translate especially because it's a whole series. It's a whole series.
Yeah, long.
I thought he was grabbing them. I still haven't read. I'm sorry. Those are down here.
Down. Yeah, we got
them all hidden down there.
Fair. But there's, I don't remember the name of the actor. Jamie, I think her name is Jamie Clayton. She's the person who's going to be
yes,
I believe in the TV series.
In the TV series.
Right? I think it's the TV series. So I mean, and I've heard that she is a fantastic actor. So that's cool. I mean,
exactly.
We won't know until we see it.
I think the one thing that again, my friend Colin pointed this one out, because before I'd even mentioned it to him, he was like, the new lead in the new Hellraiser thing is a trans actor. I was like, yeah, I knew that before you did. I'm kind of on the ball with this kind of thing, believe it or not. And even he said that's brilliant, because in the original novella, The Hellbound Heart, the lead Cenobite was just, there was no gender given. It was just straight up and down, this is what this character looks like. There was no gender given to the character. So for someone who is transgender to be taking on that role, I think, I'm trying to say this without mucking up my words, because you got to be so careful on YouTube with this kind of thing, is that for someone who has obviously had that, been on both sides of the gender identity and transitioned through, like I'm doing myself, gives a much more of an insight into a character that is genderless to a certain extent. That's just my point of view. I'm not saying that's the world point of view. That's just me.
Yeah,
I do think that that's fair, though, because it falls under it falls under the whole representation matters sort of situation where, there's so many people that would get passed over roles because of, whatever sexual orientation or, how they represent themselves, so on and so forth. And so I think that that's great. I'm sorry, I was saying she earlier. I don't know if she identifies as she or as they, them.
I think she does, yes. I think she's male to female, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So don't quote me, people of the internet, and don't hate me for it.
Okay, so
I'm going off the top of my head.
Yeah, let me go with they. Let me go with they then,
go with they.
Because that's more of a collective term.
If in doubt, they.
Well, I just wanted to be a more respectful term. And I lost it. But anyway, I do agree.
Hellraiser 4, the one in
and
space.
you're allowed to feel that way.
Yes, you are. But Hellraiser in space. I think we'll just say that Hellraiser in space. It had its moments.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Sorry. So if you haven't read it, they did release the screenplay.
Yes, I have heard the I have heard the backstory behind it, where apparently it was supposed to be in chronological order, and then the studio just chopped the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Seriously, read the screenplay and get angry. It's more about Angelique.
Yes.
So much more information about her because I guess Pete Atkins was working, I suppose, on expanding the universe.
I think so.
So that way it wouldn't only just be Pinhead all the time, right? Because even though that's what audiences resonated with, there's a whole mess that you can play with, especially when it comes to the world of Cenobites. And being able to explore that would have been really nice. But there's Pinhead only shows up to last 20 pages.
Right.
I think.
I was going to say, I do remember watching an interview with Doug Bradley many, many years ago, where he said that he did actually receive a very early script for a Hellraiser 4. And apparently the first little bit of it was set in ancient Egypt inside of a pyramid. And even he was like, so where am I in this then? So I don't know how far back that story goes. Maybe it was literally straight after number 3. There was no time frame given, but I was just like, that may have been interesting to see the actual origins of where, not so much where Cenobites came from, but the first human Cenobite, maybe. That would be an interesting take to see.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if that ties in with Clive Barker's Mummy.
Maybe, I don't know.
That seems like that would tie in with his Mummy that he was supposed to do that they never got to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of
him and George Romero were related.
Speaking of things from Clive Barker that I'd love to see, and I know again my friend would love. He's itching for this to become a real thing. Is Tortured Souls, the action figure range from McFarlane Toys that came out, I want to say 20 years ago because I'm old. But there was a backstory to it. And last I heard, Clive had actually signed a deal with Universal Pictures back in 2016 to have it turned into a film series. But since then, nothing's happened. So bring us Tortured Souls. It's close to Hellraiser. It's connected to Hellraiser. So bring it. Please bring it.
Release Demonic.
Oh, yeah. The full video game?
The full video game of the Demonic that's in Grandma's Boy.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think that may...
that was supposed to be an Xbox.
I just need to check.
Yeah, that would have been an Xbox release. Like I said,
sorry.
There's Hendrix the cat making his guest cameo.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh.
There he is.
Hello.
That's Hendrix. He usually makes an appearance on these things.
He knows we're filming.
Hi,
he likes to show himself up.
Little sod.
But right then, I think we're going to wrap things up here. We've been going for about half an hour or so. It's been wonderful speaking to you both.
It has indeed.
Sharing
A
memories
pleasure.
Sorry, what was that, guy?
A pleasure indeed.
No, I've enjoyed hearing y'all's perspective. I always like hearing other people's perspectives, specifically, obviously, on Hellraiser. Anything Clive Barker, especially when it's positive. There's a lot, like Joe had mentioned earlier, that some, Hellraiser groups and on Facebook, they're just like really, to me, they're overall negative. I'm like, man, you guys complain a lot for something you say you like.
Like, what do y'all like?
They don't like anything. So it's nice to talk to people that actually like the friend, at least the first four, which I think is fair.
No, I've never understood that about groups on Facebook where you make somebody makes a fan group, you all join it. You're supposed to be talking about things you love, and it just devolves into arguments and fights over who's right about which character is the best and why. I'd rather just, like we have tonight, just sit here, just say, I love it cause, and then let it go. If you disagree with someone, oh, well, that's their opinion. If it differs from yours, guess what? Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. And just like arseholes, love, keep yours to yourself.
I couldn't say better.
And there's the sass for this evening.
Catalina, Joe, have you got anything you want to push, promote, etc.?
Well, The Torture, that's written by Paul Kane, shadow writer, author of Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell and Hellraiser, the films and their legacy.
He just released a new Hellraiser book, coffee table book.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, though, because I'm a terrible person. But yeah, no, he is incredibly knowledgeable. And he helped put the Leviathan documentary together. Like, he helped a lot on that.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
He also wrote Sacrifice, starring Barbara Crampton.
Well, it's based on a short story called Men of the Cloth.
Men of the Cloth, yeah. And anyway, he wrote The Torture, and it stars Paul T. Taylor, who plays Pinhead in Hellraiser Judgment. And it is now streaming on Plex, if it's available in your area.
It is.
Plex is an free online streaming service.
My friend has got a service, and I need to get back into that account because my PlayStation updated, logged me out, and I haven't got the passcode to get back in.
Can you hand that over to me as well?
But yes, we will definitely check that out. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This is the end of this little segment, and we'll catch you in the rest of the Hellraiser episode. Mwah.
And we're back.
Well, then, that was Catalina Carida and Joe Manco of Little Spark Films. Absolutely amazing people. I talked to them quite a lot on the old social medias, although my reception in the underworld can be a little bit spotty.
Yeah, they're indeed lovely.
Our provider is BT.
Well, you see.
You know why they named it BT?
Go on, then.
Because every time it doesn't work, you go, bloody technology.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fucking fair one. So then, we better round this bitch up. So then, we've got a new one coming out. It's not over here yet.
No, Hulu. I hate Hulu. I live in the UK. I don't have access to Hulu. I'm having to dodge spoilers left, right, and centre. When do we get it here? We watching.
Well, does not Disney own Hulu?
That was the thing. That was the assumption that a lot of people had, was that because Disney owns Hulu, it's the parent company. It was assumed that it would be on Disney Plus. Nope. Prey was a Hulu film, and that went on Disney Plus. So why hasn't Hellraiser?
Yeah, exactly. And then they bitch because people pirate it. Oh, fuck, what do you expect?
I have actually seen several people in comments on Facebook groups and things that are actually saying that it's almost like they want it to be pirated so that it doesn't do well.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I tend to agree with that, because Kick-Ass is a perfect example. The first one did okay. The second one did shit. because it was the most pirated film on its year of release. And because it did so poorly, because of that, it didn't get a third one, even though it was up a third one. And I think Disney, as much as they want to branch out, and as much as they want to be, the company that owns fucking everything, they're still looking at it through that family entertainment lens.
Yeah.
And something like Hellraiser, the darker, more twisted, crazier, creepier, grotesque, but yet somehow still beautiful. They're scared of that. They don't know how to market it.
Yeah, but they also want to do Blade and all that. Disney, pick a fucking lane.
We'll pick one for you. I have the chains waiting.
Exactly. Fucking bitches.
But looking forward with the franchise, Clive Barker himself has actually said that he is that impressed with Jamie Clayton's interpretation of the character that she has actually inspired him to write new stories continuing that character's path. And I'm like,
yeah, I saw that.
That's a good thing to hear. If a performance can push him to want to write more stories, that is not a bad thing at all. Bring it. I am waiting for more Hellraiser goodness. I just cannot wait to see the new one. Please release it here in the UK, whether it's a physical release, digital release, whatever. We need it. I need it.
Come on, Disney. Take a peek inside your shorts and find a set.
If they did, they'd probably paint it to look like the Mickey Mouse ears.
Oh, yeah.
They hide the Mickey Mouse ears in everything.
Yeah. Don't even get me started, Violet.
Well, once I get started, the only way it ends is with a skull on the floor.
Damn fucking straight.
Yeah. We do all realize that is Callie taking her time off. Hi, Callie.
Hi, Kelly.
She had a good head on her shoulders, but now it's on the floor.
I don't know. I thought it was my friend Tony.
No, it's not Tony. It doesn't look Whovillian enough.
Or scarecrow enough. I love you, Tone.
I'd say I'd love you, Tone, but I don't know you.
Oh, I love him enough for both of us.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
So that will be an episode of this show without a little piss take on our friend. But anyway, moving on. What have we got to look forward to?
Well,
in such an exciting series.
Yes, the wonderful season 2. Typical, you're playing into the tropes of a show that advances through the season. Each season you add a new character. Just to phase out the old ones. So,
well,
never season, you might get replaced.
Oh, I am infinitely replaceable. Just ask my wife.
But yes, coming up here on Miss Violet Impulse Takes Over Calico Productions, we're going full tilt horror, my sweet. Full tilt. We started this episode with Hellraiser for season 2, our 100th video here at Calico.
Yay!
But coming up, not this coming week, but the week after, there will be a slight break in transmission. We will be coming back with a franchise that's kind of divided the fan base just recently.
Yeah, you could say that.
And it is that time of year, so we're going to cover Halloween, of course.
Hey.
Talking all about Michael Myers, Jamie Lee Curtis, continuity, plot lines, what sits where according to which film now, because there's been, what is it, 10 films and 3 timelines?
Yep. Again, pick a lane.
I thought I was confused of what was reality and what wasn't.
Phew. I don't think they know.
Apparently there is going to be another one as well. I just...
Oh, Jesus, leave it alone.
Stick with what you love.
Well, yeah, anyway, we are getting ahead of ourselves.
A little bit.
But hey, there won't be this show about a tangent now, people.
Oh, yes. I've heard all about the tangents and the segues and the little paths and meandering that happens here. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to enjoying the ride.
Incredible. Well, on that note, people, we are going to sign off. We will see you soon. I've been Random JB, and that has been Miss Violet Impulse. The Queen of Mean, she'll make you scream, and she likes coffee with cream. Good night, everybody.
Kind of cream, though, that's the question. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
We have such sights to show you. You solved the box. We came. Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures. Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.